Alright, so we got everything set up here. So let's go ahead and tear this down. So first thing we're going to want to do is remove the slide release. So back here, there's a pin right here. Just want to push on this edge right here so that comes unclipped. Just like that. And we can flip this over. Should be able just to pop this right off of there. Just push on the side a little bit there. If you need to, you can use a pin there. Kind of help it through a little bit. Push the slide back a little bit. And there we go. It's out of there. Put that in our parts bin. Then you can slide the whole slide forward. While you're doing this, you are going to want to hold down here because if you look, there's a spring under tension and then that will go flying off if you don't hold it. So just put your hand around there, slide everything off of there, just like that. Then you have your slide assembly right here. So we're going to take this little bit first and let that pop out. Just be careful that it doesn't go flying everywhere. Okay, put that right there. Then we'll want to remove this end cap here. You do that just by spinning that around like that and then lifting off. And then from here, just push this little piece down right there. You may have to jiggle it just a little bit, but eventually this whole thing should come sliding out just like that. So there you have your barrel right there. Into the parts bin we go. Now we have the slide assembly here. Let's move this off to the side for now. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take out the firing pin, which is just right down there. It's got a little spring attached to it, and it's held in by this pin right here. Let's move that over just a little bit like that. There we go. So our pin is out of there. Now just remember that that firing pin is under spring pressure. So if you can, leave your punch in there until you're ready to catch it. Let's pop this all the way out the other side. It's going to cooperate. Let's just take this firing pin out right now. So I'm just going to stick my finger there, move my punch. There it is right there. Let's pull the full thing out there, just like that. Pull the spring off of there and into the parts bin. Let's give it one more thwack with this. There we go. That one seems to be a little bit stubborn. That's okay. To the parts bucket it goes. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the extractor. So that just has a little pin up there. I think it's probably better to drive it down from here. There we go. There we go. So you can see it coming out of there. I think that extractor should come out now. Yep, it's all loose there. So we have our extractor there. It looks like we painted over it a bit. We'll fix that. And then there should be a tiny little spring in there. We'll just go in with our tweezers. pull that out and put that into the parts bucket. Then let's drive out the rest of this pin here. There we go. There's the right one. There's our other pin into the parts bucket. And this is all torn down. Now, we could also go through and take off the rear sights here, but I don't think we really need to. I don't really see any grime or anything. So let's just leave that for now. Tear that down really quick. That's easy enough. There's just a little tab right here. Now we just have to press in. Take out our smaller screwdriver for that. All you need to do is press in right there. Slide everything forward. And most of the time you just need to get it started. It should be enough just to be able to get it under there, and then you can pull it off. There you have your base plate. There's another little metal piece here. And again, when you're taking this stuff apart, just make sure you're putting your hand over there so the spring doesn't go flying. So we have our little base plate there. There's the little lip that keeps the whole thing assembled. Pull out our spring. That little plate there goes in there, and then we have our magazine. So, next, we're going to take the hand guards off. Now, normally the little ring here, is the one you want to take off first. So, if you look down in there, probably get a light to show you a little bit better. Because there is a tiny tab in there that you slide over to the back. So you just punch in there, and you'll see an actual little hook on there. So this can come off now, and I can show you how that works. See, the piece just looks like that. Slides back and forth, so that's in the lock position, catches the edge right along here, and then you would just push it like that to unlock, and then it lifts right off of there. And you'll see we have the same thing on the back plate here. It looks a little bit different, but the concept is pretty much the same. Slightly smaller there. Just pull down or push up. So it unlocks. And again, that'll come off of there. So this, again, goes into our parts bin. Alright, at this point, we'll just take off the hammer assembly that has the sear and everything in there. Let's actually go after the trigger next. So in order to do that, first thing we're going to have to do is take out the safety, or sorry, not the safety, the magazine release. So that is basically run by a little pin in here, attached to that button on that side. And so we just need to drive this out. So we'll find one that seems to fit it pretty good. There we go, just like that. And we should be able to tap it right out of there. Yep. There it is. But a slightly smaller one, because basically that screw is flared out like that. So after you get it to close in and go into the slot in the back, you don't want to keep on driving because then you're just hitting against the edge of the bolt there. So let's get a flat punch and drive it out the rest of the way. There we go. So that's what that looks like on that other side there. See the little flared edge right there? And there's a little spring that just acts as the part when you push it in to release the magazine. So there we go. Then this piece can be popped out. Should actually just fall out like that. Parts bin. And then from here, we can remove the trigger. So you have your bar back here. There's a little spring right at the back here. Just press that down a little bit. I'll allow you to move this bar down. And you can kind of just shimmy it out of there. If that thing right there is still giving you problems, just press on it. So basically you're trying to lean it back and pull it out like that. There we go. So there's the trigger mechanism. This one actually had a separate safety that is not part of the standard model, but imported to the US. Apparently they have to add one of those to there. To the parts bin. And then we have this little spring plate. We just move it down like that, lift up, and that comes out of there just like that. And there, you're left the clean frame. So next, we're going to take apart the hammer housing that also has the Sear assembly in there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to knock out this large pin. It's right in the center here. Now, you have to be careful because if you look underneath here, that hammer has a spring attached right on the inside. So if you just hammer that out of there, this whole thing is going to go flying everywhere. There it goes. Just popped out of there. So there's your pin. That's holding that in place. Parts bucket. And now, just grab the whole thing, pull your pin out. The hammer should pop right out of there. And there's that spring. Pull the spring out of there. Everything goes in the parts bucket. Now from here, it's pretty simple. You have your Sear assembly down here. And for that, there's just a little tiny pin right there. Ah, good. It's going to be easy to pull out. Pull that out of there like that. Now this has a little spring plate right there, but I don't think it's going to come flying out of there that easy. Yeah, so there we go. Just pull it out like that. Another piece right there. And that's it. Everything is disassembled. So here, now we have our full assembly of everything. We have our slide, barrel, firing pin. We have the hammer and Sear assembly over here. Main frame, the hand guards here, trigger and magazine release, and the magazine itself. Everything all torn apart. And just looking through, looks like we have, not sure if that's paint or some type of preservative they put on the extractor. We have some pretty thick gunk on everything. So minus the plastic pieces, we're going to take everything and use some brake cleaning fluid on there and just kind of spray everything down, get rid of all the old oil, and then we'll go through and put some proper stuff on there so we can get this ready to fire. So right now we can get into the assembly of this. So let's start with the magazine. So put that in there. That slides in like that. That goes all the way there. Basically, that little small loop that's in there should catch in right under that plate. And then, with the tab sticking up right there, press this down. And while holding that down there, top of that just slides right on top of there. If you press it all the way back, you should get a pop eventually. When that pops back into place, there we go. Then next we have the trigger and the magazine release. So we start off with the trigger first. For that, first we're going to want to install this spring. Should have this one pointing down like that in the back. You'll know that you have it in the right spot because you'll see it just like that. And that's what you want. Then we're going to take our trigger, slide that back into the little gap right there, slide it up to the front. Should engage against that spring there. You may have to shimmy it a little bit, but it should pop right into place there. And there is a little spot where the spring plate will attach to this bar right here. So that's that right there. Next we're going to do magazine release. So for that, we're going to pop that button in there. Put this right here. And we're actually going to set it down like this. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier to do it from here versus the other way. And then we just have to tap it a little bit. There we go. And you'll see that it gets seated properly. There we go. Give it a little snap there. Now it should press just fine. So that's all assembled there. Now next we have the hammer assembly and the Sear assembly. This one can be a little bit tricky just because of the spring for the hammer. So we're going to want to take this first, pop that into there. Now this will need to go into there like that, but there's a small bar right here that compresses down that spring. We'll see if it's going to be cooperative. There. So, takes a couple of tries, but it will eventually go in there. So, next thing that we need to do is put in the Sear assembly. That is the extractor. We don't need that yet. Here we go. So this pops in there right on the side. It's just a hole right down there that this just slides right into, and it'll line up the hole on the side here. And then for the Sear and the Sear spring, this has a little tiny slot right here that's going to tuck into, and then the rest of it will seat to line up with that right there. So put that in like that, and then just push the spring into place. Well, it's going to cooperate. There you go. And just slides into place like that. And that'll go right in there. There. Everything pops directly into place. So next, we have the slide assembly that we're going to put together. So we'll start off with the firing pin. Now this has a little notch on the top of it there. And we're going to want this pin to slide through and catch it. So when we insert this, should make sure that that notch is facing the top. Put it down like that. And then we're going to use two punches here. One to press down on the firing pin, and the other will slide into the side just to catch it, like that. And then take this, we will drive that through, and hopefully everything will line up perfectly. And sometimes these don't want to be that cooperative, but that's fine. Just keep on tapping it. I did actually try it both ways, and this one seems to be the easier way. And once you get it like that, you should be able to give it a good hard pounding from here and there. So now it finally made it through. And you finish the rest of it off. The punch right there. There. Now it's all seated properly. Next up, we're going to take our extractor. And for that, first need our little spring right here, which we're going to place in the hole here. Slides in like that. We have our extractor, which now has all of that, almost all of that red stuff removed from it. Not going to worry about that little bit right there. And that just slides in like that. We have our pin. That needs to go in from the top right here. So we're going to push the extractor back, And then should be able to pound that through. There we go. So that's caught now. So we should be able to drive it through the rest of the way. Now what we're trying to do is, if you look in there, trying to get it flush to that piece right there. There we go. Should be good. So we're going to take a frame first, pop in the hammer housing, and it does look like that needs to be knocked down just a bit. Fit. That all slides into place like that. Then we have our barrel. Side goes in first. Slide in like that. Have our top piece here. That just slides around right there. And then put the spring in. For this, just want to keep this from moving around. I'm going to slide this in, but we want to make sure that this little round piece, round edge, is up against the barrel. Slide that in. And just going to make sure everything is seated properly on there. Yeah, that looks okay. Then we just take this, slides in like that. There we go. And then just have to plug this back in. Just like that. Then we slide release forward, just like that. And then finally, we can install our handguards. So, first one is, you want to do the one with the bar like that. Just going to add a little bit of oil to this. It seems to be kind of finicky. Yeah, seems a little bit better. Oops. There we go. While that's there, we slide that down, lock it into place. Next we do this one. Just Just want to make sure that that's in the right spot. Yep. So pop that on there. And again, just a little lever inside of here that you move back and forth. So that locks everything into place. So now that we have everything together, just take a look, make sure everything's working properly. Slide release comes back, goes forward. A lot smoother than what it was before. See, the magazine goes in. It's working. Pops out. Then we see if it fires okay. Right. Now all we have to do is give it one last little wipe down just to get rid of all the fingerprints and stuff that were on there. So she looks nice and pretty. There we go. All assembled, back together again, and functioning pretty darn good.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitch in the description below. Until next time, take care of yourselves.